Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to the Bricks King podcast, where I'm going to bend your ear about Lego, review those amazing bricks of plastic, discuss what is new and up and coming around the Lego world. I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it. Welcome in, everybody. How are we doing today? Hopefully you're doing well today. Eldorado Fortress, Part 2. Take 2. Let's say Take 2. The reason I say Take 2 is because Take 1, the first time we went through this, got it recorded, perfect. Everything was good, ready to throw up, not like out of my mouth, ready to put up, upload so you can listen, download, whatever. And I go to pull the file, pop things up, file is corrupted. All right, let me go to the backup file. Backup file's not there. Don't know what happened. I was like, well, this is just the most enjoyable thing ever. Let me go ahead and spend more time recording again. So this is the Take 2, Part 2, whatever you would prefer to call it. So let's go ahead. We'll hop into this thing. The thing that you need to know is this thing is much cheaper than the castle that we got last year. The castle last year was $400. That was quite expensive. This one's only going to cost you 215 euros USD. Still not the cheapest by any means. So it is available on July 4th if you are a VIP member. Remember, it costs you nothing, or July 7th for the rest of you. I have a feeling that this thing is going to sell like hotcakes. I have a feeling it's going to sell out rather quickly. Now, I don't know if they're holding so many back until the 7th, for instance, but I don't foresee that being the case. So I suggest if you want one in the first round, you go get it. Now, the other thing is, a lot of people are very much like, I have to have it day one. It's not going anywhere. This thing's not going anywhere for 2 years. So if you don't have it today, get it months down the road. Get it next year. It'll still be there. I can promise you that. So the other important details of this thing, it has 2,509 pieces. It is an icon set, which is always important because it's 18 plus. 10320 is the set number. This thing does come with quite a few minifigs and quite a few different components with it. Now, this does not have a raised base plate where it was molded in that regard, which is probably a good thing, or else it would be semi-dinky in comparison to what this is. And the build techniques obviously would be completely different in their own right, because you are trying to accomplish something that really, there are no base plates like that anymore, unless you buy one on Bricklink or secondary. Anyway. So a few different things. We've got the castle itself, the fortress itself, and then we have a ship and a little rowboat. A little rowboat is your standard rowboat that Lego has. 2 minifigs are supposed to accompany it. Don't have to. Don't have to. So you have that. It does have a printed Jolly Roger flag on the back, does come with 2 paddles. Nothing special. So the ship itself is actually a pretty nice build. This does not float, by the way. I tried it. It does not float. The funny thing was my wife came into the bathroom, and this was, along with the rowboat, was sitting on a towel next to the actual sink itself. She goes, "Why is there Lego on the counter in the bathroom on a towel?" And I told her I wanted to see if it would float. And it didn't. Of course it didn't. But that's why I did it in a sink, a shallow, your standard bathroom sink, so that I didn't have to worry about the sails getting wet, because the sails are fabric. They are not plastic. So it does not float. It is a pretty neatly designed boat, ship, whatever you want to call it. Nice rounded edges along the bottom. It looks like it should float. It just does not. Little rudder in the back. The wheel where the captain sits, or stands, whatever, is pretty nice in its own way, that little area. You have a sword here, or I'm not quite sure what those swords are called, but you do have a little rifle that you can have for one of your guys. Again, 8 minifigs, you can mix and match and stuff like that. So there's a bunch of different weaponry. There's a bag that's in here. It could be for the good guys, the bad guys, however you want to roll that. Doesn't really matter. The biggest attraction of this is the mast of it. And the way that it is connected is kind of unique. It is a solid Technic piece the whole way up, which is good. And there's very good reason for it. You have 3 different sails and you have a bunch of different connection points. There are actually 3 different connection points technically 4, to the main mast. So you have a sail that is in the rear, has no printing on it, but it is technically, Technic pinned, connected, technically. That's where I'm going with that. But it's on ball joints that connect into the mast. The other one that is just in front of the mast has a section with some bars that go across the bottom. The jousting sticks is what they chose to use here. And that goes across the bottom. That is also attached to the main mast by a ball joint. And then the top section, which just uses regular bars and some open studs to hold the top on, that is ball jointed into place as well. That does have a giant print on it. It has dueling anchors, crossed anchors with a barrel, and a crown that is on top. The reason for that isn't anything special, right? You can adjust the sail. Since it's on ball joints, you can make it more cushiony. What I mean by that is you can push the bottom part up and it's going to blow the sail a little further open, or you can pull it down and make it as if it's, really in the wind or something like that. It's taut, or however you want to look at it. Same goes with the rear. Now on the front, that sticks off the bow of the ship. Again, no printing here, but it's connected off the tip of the ship, but then it has a piece of string that's attached by studs that goes through the holes of the sail, goes across the top of the mast, and connects just directly behind that point. Now there's also on the rear sail the same thing. The interesting thing about this is, you want something to look realistic, right? And that's the best way that Lego has done this. You have it coming up from the front, up from the rear. And the cool thing is that I realized is you can actually turn the studs where their connection points are and get some more tension on the string to make it look a certain way. Instead of it looking like a limp piece of nothing, you can actually put some tension on it and get it into a different characteristic pose. So I do like that. The front of the ship is actually pretty uniquely done, how it is on clip joints that can or go up and down. And then the very front of the ship actually connects to that. But the thing is, there are some swivel joints that go along the side of the ship on that front part. And the odd thing about it is it can be kind of a pain in the butt to actually get the front bottom part connected to that yellow and black section, which is kind of not expected, but it is definitely a thing. There is nice decoration of railings on the side of the ship as well. It is a nice little centerpiece of its own. So if you're somebody that's like, you know what, I really don't want anything else, you don't have to have anything else. You could have that. That is its own little thing. The fortress is its own thing, yes, but it doesn't have to be. If you don't have room, for instance, the ship is kind of neat as a secondary thing to display. All right, let's move on to the thing that you care about the most. We know we don't care about the ship, right? The fortress itself. Again, it is unique. It is a rebranding of the original, which was really, really cool. But there are some differences with this. Obviously, newer pieces, newer techniques, the fact they don't have the raised base plate anymore, and the fact that it is a modular design. What I mean by that specifically is this thing actually comes apart in different sections, and there's actually 4 total sections. There's one main one with the main walkway into the open gates, the gate to open. And then you have the part with the crane, you have the part with where the jail is, and then you have a part with the main dock and stuff on the back, just another section of the build. Now, here is the thing. There is no one way to set this up. You have clips and you have bars everywhere, all over this thing, just about on every corner. And on the main section, which we're going to talk about first, that has the walkway, it actually has clips on 3 different spots. Well, clips and or bars on 3 different spots, which makes it, again, very modular. Now, the great thing about this, like I said, aside from being modular, it is probably the coolest part of the build. The actual section of the docking in front isn't anything wild and crazy, just some plates and stuff like that. The way they managed to build up the walkway with tiles of different shapes and sizes, different colors, it is really neat. In the end, after you build, not everything, you build pretty much everything on the bottom tier. And what I mean by that is not anything that is pretty much white from, you have your dock level, and then you have your kind of semi-second tier level. That semi-second tier level, that is when you are pretty much getting ready to plug in this thing, and then you add all these other details and stuff afterwards. And it's just connected in by a few ball joints. That's it. You build the plate thing going on, and then you just plop this thing in there and it's done. So what's around it? Well, we already know the idea behind the raised base plate and how they kind of went about that. The walkway, which was that upward sloped, where you took your characters or whatever into the fortress. Again, that is just pieces ball jointed in. But the other section that was really built up, because you had to get that same idea, bunch of different pieces of different slopes, and not just slopes, some other kind of pieces that I didn't really expect kind of on the inside. That is definitely what they did here. So the entire inside is not solid. It is hollow in different spots. So don't get your hopes up if you're like, oh man, I wanted it to be solid. It is heavy enough in its own right. But on that section, we have the little rounded turret area that we have with our cannon. Now, the cannons are removable if you so choose. They are on a brick-built turntable so that you can use them that way. They're the newer version of the cannon that you pull back and you can launch your cannonball, whatever you want to call it. But they are removable. As you move towards the right, what we have here is they did this yellow scheme, right? The white with the yellow, similar to that era. And they have these little, I guess they're not technically called portholes because it's not on a ship, but that is pretty much what they are. And they use the little ingot pieces in yellow on the inside here. It's so that you can put your weaponry through, or you can look really quickly without worrying about a cannonball, coming through, which I don't know if it would or it wouldn't, but I'm willing to bet it probably could. So you do have that. It is ended off here with a brick-built palm tree. They use those oldish style fern type pieces here. And then that is pretty much it on that side. But down on the bottom on that side, we have those 1x2 modified pieces that I have talked about so many times. They've been around a while, but they have the bars on there so that you can clip into place different things, different sections in this case. Now on the rear side here, we have weapons racks everywhere. There is enough space, which was going to be one of my concerns. There is enough space for every single weapon that you have here. Brilliant decision. Thank you, Lego. Thank you for getting this one right. So you have a spot for 2, I guess, they aren't, whatever kind of rifle those are. Man, I had a shop teacher that used to go hunting with one of these, the big metal balls that they use. Oh my God, I cannot remember what they're called. But we have another little sword that's back here as well. You have what is supposed to be a little fireplace to cook on and do all that kind of stuff. There is a bag back here of some kind of loot. There is also a kettle that is on top here so that you can cook whatever you want to cook here. There is a torch just above that, and there's a key to the side of that. One of the other nice things that you have is the color variation between the yellow and the white, but they also use the dark red 1x1 plates with holes in the center, 1x2 plates that are rounded on the end with the holes in the center. Well, not in the center, inside the studs. So you do have that. So it is nice to see that color variation just because it pops, and it is very reminiscent of that time. So that is a good thing to see. So inside the main gates, there are 2 gates that open outward, not inward. They open outward. There is a weapons rack just behind that so that you, again, have a place to store your stuff. Just as you walk into the main section here, you're walking in through the gates. They do have torches on each side, which is nice as well to be able to light up that section. It's really it just has a really nice feel about it in general. So still on that same level, you come through the gates. There is really no way from this direction to be able to get to the next tier and then above that with the cannonball shooter. But that's why you connect everything together and then you have that opportunity to do just that. So up above, what we have, I guess, where you could say the main general or the captain or whatever rank he is. He's got his little section up here. There is a 2x2 printed tile of a map. It is printed. You have a little quill there with a candle because there was no electricity, right? Another tiny little brick built door, which is actually really unique. It is very thick in consideration of what it really, really is, but I guess it's kind of important. It's got a really cool design of a window here, really unique techniques. I would love to be able to try something like this one day. It's kind of loose in the way that it is connected initially, and it looks as if it could be just simply pulled out, but really nicely done. That dark red really shines well there. You have 2 little weapons as well, those old style rifles here that are shooting downward and a downward angle for anybody that may be entering towards the gates, which is nice. And then you have this entire section up here that is white and some dark red that they have these little kind of portholes, these sections like that, like you would see on the castle, for instance. They have that in white, a lot of ingot pieces used here just to smooth things off. And then on the very top here, again, you've got a cannon that is up here launching them cannonballs. And then you have a giant printed flag. Now there is a walkway, but there's nothing attached to it right now because, again, modularity. So if you take a walk, you're going to fall. And if you fall down to the very bottom underneath the walkway, underneath the main drag. And there's a barrel with a cap on it. And there's actually some gold in there. Printed 1x1 tiles in the gold, but pretty cool in the print. I'm going to let you determine whether or not you think they're cool or not. So instead of popping everything together, what I'm going to do is we're going to talk about the next section. Before we continue any further with this magnificent beauty, we got to take a quick break. The next section is a tower crane here that we have this big brick built crane. There are a lot of pieces in this to be able to get its functionality just perfect and, replicate the original. So down on the bottom, we do have clips, bars, yet again. You have a dock section in the front here, some yellow arching, nice yellow piece usage here. Just before we get into the white section, some dark red, yet again, it's going to be the theme. But the texturing on the front of this is very unique in the pieces that they chose. Really, really fascinating. Now on the inside of that, we can lift a stair piece here, a ladder piece, and we have provisions in here. We have more cannonballs. We have another barrel that you can put things in. We have another bag of potential loot or who knows what. Maybe it's laundry that needs done. So you have some storage there. You walk up the little ladder here, and then you are up to the crane. Now, this does not fit minifigs at all. If you put a minifig here, their scale does not match. There's just no way. But the crane is really nice. It swivels 360 degrees. It can go the whole way down and the whole way up. Now, it is just a simple winding that is used here. You just lower it. It uses 1x1 modified plates that have a clip molded into them. And that is what keeps your string intact, online, focused where it needs to be. Now you do have a hook at the other end of that. And on the other end of that hook is where you have your lift of whatever you're pulling up. In this case, it is a chest. Now they use 4 tiny chains that attach to the main underside of this little contraption that you're using to lift the treasure or whatever you want to call it. It could be treasure. Maybe you want to put something else in it. And there's a bar then that goes through those 4 studs that end where the chains attach to that 1x1 stud, if that makes sense. So it keeps everything nice and clean, nice and tight together. You can take the treasure off without having to undo the actual bar itself. Inside, we have some pistols that are in here. Those old pistols in that nice gunmetal gray. Looks really sharp. I've got 3 in there. It says to put 2 in, but always, you get the extra. You can fit all 3 in there. So you can wind that the whole way down. You can put it on the ship. You can do whatever you want with it. Maybe you're going to give it to the bad guys. Maybe the bad guys brought it to you. Maybe they found it somewhere and want to return it because, they're moral people. I don't know. So that is that section. The crane is really sharp. I do like that a lot. So now we move on to the next section here. A lot of waterfront in general with this entire build because, it's out in the middle of whatever, the ocean, the sea, wherever it's supposed to take place. And one of the things in here about this part, again, a lot of rocky outcropping and stuff like that. A lot of plant pieces used here on this section specifically in comparison to the rest. But then again, there's more opportunity here. So we have this little exit way, and it looks like a waterfall coming out, from underneath the fortress. Don't know what it is. You're walking past it. You're like, what is that? Is it a cave? The water's coming out. And then you have a little crab that washed out as well. So as you rotate this thing around, again, you notice clips, you notice bars. Again, modularity, really fun way to be able to use this thing. Now, in one section of this, you have a skeleton, a pirate skeleton. It is stuck in there. Maybe he was trying to sneak in and just became lodged in there and now is dead. You put him in there ahead of time because if you don't, he ain't gonna fit. There is a way that they have him attached by his feet to the side as he is sitting there. On the other side of this that is open on the bottom, we have another chest in here, some gold ingot pieces that are here on the bottom, on the top of it, inside another bag of loot. And then there is a few grill pieces that are used to climb up to the next level. You climb up to the next level, the door opens from on where the floor is, climb on out. There's a ladder to get to the top section to look out and make sure everything is fine. Same kind of design as we have talked about with the other section, the original first section. But this one here does actually have a unique thing to it if I can get it open. That is the biggest thing that I've found. I don't have super long nails. It does have a key, so you could plunge the key in there and open this thing. But inside of here, because you can pull the top off, inside of here, you have some hay pieces that's what it's supposed to represent. And you have a door. Why would you have a door? I don't know. You've got a door for some reason. Maybe it's because you would like to escape. Maybe there's trouble and you need to run. So you can pull that door up. You can slide your minifig down and your minifig ends up down through that waterfall exit section that looked like a cave where the crab washed out. Really cool idea. I like that a lot. So the rest of that section, you've got some windows that are on here, not like glass windows or anything in this case, but you have some windows. They use the red and then dark red pieces to get the roofing on the sides, really sharp looking. The roof sections, the window sections can actually pull out. It is, the one can pull out. I apologize. So I don't know if that's to make it easier to be able to get your guy into that position if you want him to escape or not. Because like I said, the roof does come off. The roof just all white, kind of plain, very white. Again, lots of ingot pieces that are used here. So that is that section. It's okay with me. I think it looks pretty nice. I like the escape pod area right there. I think that's kind of cool. Then we move on to the last section. This is the long part of it. It's long, it's sleek. It's its own little thing, essentially. So this is where your main dock focal point is. This is where everything really is. You're maybe loading or unloading to a certain degree because you do have the crane. But you have a table that is out here on this big dock. You've got some bowls, some goblets, and some kind of a bottle of something. You got a lantern that is here. There is a monkey. I've got my monkey hanging out here. But there is something interesting here. There is a trap door. And you just probably heard that just for a second. It is a simple sliding mechanism that is on the back, and all you do is move it and the trapdoor falls open. It is actually really big. It is a 5x4 size door. That is a big opening. You could probably drop 2 minifigs down there if you wanted to. Or again, maybe you want to escape, or maybe you just want somebody out of here. That's completely up to you. So it is not like a red piece, like, look at me, look how hideous I am. No, it is just black. It is just a little black ball piece that is here. And you just slide it to the side, door falls, and down goes whatever is there. So while you're down there, you might as well visit the cantina. Down inside of here, we have a few different things. We've got barrels of different drinks. I'm not really sure what they are. You make it up. You decide. And then there is a treasure chest that is down here, although I don't believe there's anything in it. I did not take it back out. There's a torch, and there's a little green frog hanging out down there. So if we move back to the level of the actual dock, we have another little clip for a sword. We've got a broom here in that darker brown color. And then we have a few other things. We've got another bag of loot. We've got another barrel. Doesn't have anything in it. You want to put something in it, by all means, you can do so. You can share the wealth with other things, or maybe you want to put gems and jewels in it from some other, bricks and pieces or whatever. There is another ladder that does, or is able to climb up on to the top, where again, you have another cannon, all those cannonballs everywhere, of course. And then you have a little parrot that is up here. Little blue with the semi-green and yellow parrot that is up here. On the outside, we do have 2 big palm trees. You have a little beach area, actually. It's really nicely done with some of the nice, easily sloped pieces. I'm a big fan of those. It feels gentle. It just feels gentle. So that is the main gist of it. There is one thing, which I was saving for the end. On the main build, down in the belly of the beast on the back side, there is this little compartment, and it looks like nothing. If somebody were to be looking at this, for the most part, they would completely overlook this. There is a little finger area where you can put one finger in it, and you can grab a hold of the top of this thing, and it falls straight out because it's only held on by one stud. There is a letter that is inside of here, which who knows what's in it? Who knows what kind of importance? Maybe it's where the treasure is. Maybe it has all the details. So you have so many different ways to connect this thing. It's really up to you. If you want it all in one, that's fine. I found that it is a little bit more difficult to see all of the sides if you have it connected in that typical fashion in which it is mainly designed. But I am a big fan that the design team chose to go a modular style. I don't think the castle was like that, but it reminded me of the Pirates of Barracuda Bay to a certain degree. I wouldn't even really call that so much modular. I guess you could, but this is definitely more of a modular system where you could move things around and just enjoy a different idea to it, however you would like. So last things, minifigs, we have a bunch. We have our 2 pirates. We have a female pirate. I like her little pirate shirt that she's wearing under there, the puffy shirt. She could fit into the Seinfeld episode or Seinfeld build. Her long black swooping hair is really nice. She comes with a weapon of her own, a sword in this case. Then you have your main pirate guy. He's got his green pants. He's got his red and white striped Waldo shirt that's going on, and his rope belt because, this is a poor guy. And he's got his little covering, and he's got a patch on his face, believe it or not, which is good. Then we have our people that work at the fortress that are guarding this fortress, or maybe they're just buddies with, the pirates, and they come hang out once in a while, So 3 of your guys and gals have the exact same printing. Well, let me take that back. 5 of them have the exact same printing. So, but they're different in their own right to a certain degree with faces and such. So the guy here, we all have white legs. We all have blue tops and, the standard printing with the cross straps. And you can kind of see, I guess, what is it supposed to be under there? The vest that they're wearing. These 3 come with red shoulder pads. They have the really tall hat. They come with various different weapons. In this case, what do you want to call it? Whatever rifle this thing is. I cannot remember for the life of me. And they have a backpack. So we have a female here and we have 2 guys here. Then we move on to the next 2. They're wearing different hats. They're wearing that triangular hat One has gold shoulder pads, one has red shoulder pads, same printing as the other two. This is the dual molded triangular hat, by the way. One has like a blondish color hair and the other is a brunette. Both of them in this case are female, and they're slightly different faces, but pretty much, I don't want to say identical, but they're fairly similar, very fairly similar. And they have the little red flag feather thing in their hat. Then we get to the general, the captain, whatever you want to call him. He's got his sword. Charge! His print is the only one that is different, that is unique on his chest and his back. He's got his really nicely gold adorned printing, which is really, really nice. He's got gold shoulder pads. He's got that special hat that has printing on both sides. It is black on both sides, but the front side that faces where his face is has a little bit of a design there. I'm not really quite sure what that is supposed to be. It looks like it looks like the wheel of a ship. So maybe that's the case. And he's got a feather in his. He is a little bit more aged than the rest. He's got some gray in his beard. So some smile lines and stuff like that. So nice little guy there. I'm a big fan of the set. Yes, nostalgia is a big thing. I did not have this, but very much so. I love these kind of things. I love when they go retro. I love when they hit that nostalgic button. I'm a big fan of the modular design, the modular idea where you can take something and kind of, if you just wanted the main piece to sit out, you could do that. Or if you're, you know what, it's a little too naked, put the tower crane on it, put another section on it. There are so many different ways that you can do this to get it the way that you want. You don't have to just do it your way. You can do it however you would like. And that is the best part about it. It's not to the idea of like, Dreams, where those sets are, very, very funky in their own way. But it's a nice modular enough design idea that, like I said, you can just maneuver things how you want. I like the trap doors behind it. You have a bunch of cannons, which is crazy. I did not expect this amount of cannons, but whatever. Again, really neat stuff. I'm a fan of it. It's $215. It is coming available July 4th. I think I said July to begin with. July 4th for VIP. Everyone else, it is July 7th. So 7777. So that's going to wrap it up. If you have any questions about it, you can always contact me via social media or through our email at thebricksking@gmail.com. So that's going to wrap it up. Until we meet again, I'm your minifig host, Matt. Let's build on it.